Hey everybody, welcome to Soulful Three's Journeys. Today, as always, we've got Lyman and Gizo here in the studio. We're tackling breaking free from self-doubt. Big topic today. I'm excited for all you guys to be part of this conversation, and we'll just go ahead and dive right in.
Yeah.
So first question right off the bat, we're just going to go right in on this. I'm thinking, let's say somebody's been dealing with a cycle of just doubting their self-worth because of constant criticism from family. What do you think is the best way to help them get, not so much over it, but through the struggle in the first place, and then just try to help them rebuild their self-esteem?
Yeah. For me, I just, well, let me start with the truth that I've been sitting with lately. I doubted myself most of my life, if I'm honest. And I think I've said that before, so this is not new.
Right.
Not in isolated moments, but consistently. And that was through my upbringing. I doubted my ability to pass tests. I doubted my body through illness, injury, insecurities. I even doubted my mind. Even though, to the outside, I've led troops, I've raised kids, I've built a platform, but I still doubted my strength, my resilience, and especially my ability to be loved. And a lot of that was because of my upbringing and the criticism and the constant need to feed somebody else's expectations of what I should be.
Wow.
It wasn't until I built myself up from the ground up, and I'm still today moving into my 43s next month.
Let's go.
Yeah, right. I'm still learning.
We're still young.
It's hard. Yeah, I'm still young and I'm still learning. And I still deal with this on a daily basis. And for me, what I tell other people that struggle with similar issues and similar upbringings is that, look, without belief in yourself and the abilities that you have, you can put any practice, any self-help guide into fruition, but it's going to be temporary. It's not going to be a real fix. I think Giso said this before, but you have to love yourself first. And if you can't learn how to love yourself first, you have nothing to build on. There's a foundation there that is very much needed. It's necessary to progress. Yeah. And I still have a hard time with that. If I'm completely honest, my PTSD gets the best of me most days. My ability to get through hard times like anxiety and social issues, it's the stem of everything for me. And I really have to practice a lot of self-work to get to the point that I remember and remind myself. And like Giso said, and you said in the past camp, we go back and watch our videos sometimes, like, yeah, that guy's got some good stuff to say.
Right? Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's what I do. I have to remind myself constantly that the stuff that I'm pushing out to the community, I have to instill in myself too. And so that's where it starts for me. And that's what I try to get out to other people. It's daily steps that are small, but they're incremental and they're big in the end. And hopefully, like I said before, it's not something that is an end destination. This is a constant work. It's a constant battle. You're going to do it every day for the rest of your life. You're going to run into issues where you feel worthless, you feel less than, you feel not good enough, whatever that term is for you in the moment. And the way to battle through that is to remember that you are loved and you are worthy and you are deserving to be here for a reason.
Yeah. No, that's good, man. For me, oftentimes I had to ask myself, do I want that? Right. And when I start with that, like you said, man, you can have all the, self-help reflections and affirmations and right. You can have cards, you can have all these things placed around you to even remind you, right? But it goes deep down. And I had to ask myself, do I want it? Right. And okay, if I want it, well, who do you want it for? Is it to prove other people or is it to prove to yourself? Right. A lot of times, man, like we talk about motivation moving forward and everything, bro, it is fleeting. Sometimes it's not always there. But I always say, B, do you want it though? Right. Not for anybody else, not for, to make Somebody believe in your mission, but do you want it? And it takes me back to those questions. And then I have to answer that. Well, I do want it. Okay. Well, why do you want it? Oh, now we're going into the dichotomy of your mindset, of your psyche. Okay, why do you want it? Right? Because, well, for years, I've doubted myself. For years, I was told no. For years, I believed what other people said about me. And I was helping them along the way and not even knowing it. So for me, it's getting away from people, going in a corner, whatever you got to do, whether it's fishing, whether it's camping, whatever it is. And I had to say, okay, Mr. Brian, why? And if your why starts to unpack what you really want out of life, oh, then you'll find the love. Because why? I'm not focusing on anybody else. I'm focusing on me. And then once you understand that you are loved, that you are powerful, you can get back up from hard things. You don't need anybody to hold your hand a lot of times. When you realize that, then all those other puzzles start to come into play. Because why? You'll focus on it for you. The why would be there. Your understanding would be there. The trust in yourself would be there. You getting back up for you, not for children, not for kids. Listen, when we truly decide for ourselves, then those other parameters will fall into place. Then when I use affirmation, check this out, then I'll believe them and not just saying them.
I love that.
Right?
Definitely.
That's me, families. That's me, fellas. Yeah. Kemp, what you got, man? What's your thoughts on that? That's a great question.
Well, and the thing was, like, this is kind of related to the question, but yet it's still more or less along the self-doubt thing. This actually happened to me yesterday. Just having a tough day. Woke up in a funk. Didn't know what was going on. I think it was partial burnout. Didn't realize it till like a day or two later. Then it finally started kicking in.
Right.
And it was totally unintentional, of course, because we don't ever realize burnout until it happens.
Sure.
It's something we always got to pay attention to, no matter what you're doing.
Right.
And so I just kind of let it get to me. I started going into my head. I started getting those doubts like, why am I doing this? Am I really making a difference? Am I even resonating with people in a way I want to be? So it was the constant just negativity. I'm like, no, we're not. We're not doing this. We are not falling down this hole again. So every time I go down that hole, it drives you to those things you don't want to be doing, or you're stuck on idle for like a few weeks. And it's like, you can't afford to do that. You just can't do that to yourself. And I started reflecting more or less on my why. I started pushing on my why. And before I had a vivid dream and a vivid detail of what I really wanted to do. And now each day I'm honing in even more on it. And it seems to push my drive even more to what I want to accomplish.
Yeah.
And just a little detail each day, like, why one that I was going over today was, what was my ultimate goal that I wanted from my website, and kind of what path I want to take it. So I started pushing, okay, more community driven, more free resources, more options for people to, find help if need be, not just within our community that we're building, but even outside of that for when that community is not available. So it's just digging into those different details is actually what picked me back up. I'm like, there's something behind this that I'm missing, and I got to not let those negative thoughts and those doubts creep in. And like, no, I've got this. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep going. Ignore the little things right now that are maybe putting that doubt in your mind, and trying to be happy in the now. Be happy with what you got going on right now, because your right now might be somebody else's heaven. You may not be where you want to be, and that's fine. But, an average person starting a business at our age, this is average. Most people don't start getting anywhere till they're like 47 to 52 and become, really, really successful. But again, we go back on our own version of success from the last one.
Yep.
But, it's just reminding yourself, okay, I'm at where I need to be at this moment. And maybe myself isn't completely ready for the whole shebang,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I hate to be the bearer of bad news all the time, but I'm on this kick lately where I just feel like I have to talk about the hard stuff to get to the good stuff.
Yep.
I'm about
You do.
I'm about motivation. I'm about building up my community. I'm about all that stuff. And I want to get to that point where we can just really start to heal. But I think to get to the meat of that, we have to talk about what's rough. And on this subject, for me, I feel like I was constantly asking the world, am I enough yet? When is good enough for you? And no matter the answer, I couldn't hear it. It didn't matter. I couldn't hear it because I wasn't ready. And what's crazy is I became a master at hiding it. Right. So from the outside, I look confident.
Yep.
But inside, that doubt whispered every day.
Every day.
Mess this up. You're not built for this. You're a fraud. You know, I started to believe those things. Like I really wanted to be better. I really wanted to heal. I wanted to be the person that people could rely on and come to for support and love and help. But inside, I was dying. Inside, I couldn't tell myself the things that I needed to hear. Those love messages that you are enough.
Yeah.
Just as you are.
Yeah.
Can I push back on one thing a little bit there? The being afraid of being called up to being a fraud, you know, or mentally, even whether you think it's going to be externally or you're thinking it's mentally. I've always struggled with that myself. It's been a very big thing I deal with. I always feel like I'm not enough of whatever I'm trying to be, but I am who I am. And, you know, that's just the way things are going to be. But the fear of being called up for a fraud, though, is what defines that, though? Who defines that? You know, who makes that decision ultimately? Is it you, or is it somebody with a piece of paper that says they're a doctor? Or, you know, somebody else that's a piece of paper that says they're such and such? I mean, does that really, what really defines it is what I'm kind of just trying to get at, you know, just that's how I keep breaking past that moment. Whenever that starts happening, I'm like, no, let's, I'm here, I'm doing what I need to do, what I feel is what I need to be doing. And that's how I keep pushing forward.
Yeah. And I think support, you know, plays a big factor in that, right? For me, I had to break away and I had to find people that necessarily didn't give me an answer, but they were just there and their presence made me feel a bit stronger. You know, sometimes you got to lean on other people, right? You got to, you know, allow them to share some of that. And whether it's, you know, maybe it's not vocal, but just your presence alone, just that phone call, just that, hey man, I'm checking on you, right? You need that other person, right? Today in my live, we talked about, you know, leadership, and we got down to the word of accountability, right? That's even in our struggles. You got to have somebody that, you know, not to tell you, hey, don't do that, don't get back up. No. If you can find somebody that can just love you and just listen, remember my best poses. And if you can find someone, right, sometimes it's hard, but when you do, if you do, man, I sought for that because that's what I needed in those hard times of my self-doubt, you know, talking down on myself and just them being there. It clicked. They didn't even say anything. They were just there. And I said, wait a minute. It finally hit. What am I doing? So I had to overtalk some of those, right? Because we all get up in here. We do. I had to start to combat those things and talk down to it, because once you have one thought, here comes another thought. Here comes another thought, right? And they'll team up on you. And you'll be in a corner and they just melee. That's how it feels. But once I start catching myself and saying, hold on, wait a minute. I don't believe that. I'm more powerful than that. Oh, no, wait a minute. No, that's not me. I'm stronger than that. Oh, no, wait a minute. That's not who I am. And I had to, right? And it's almost deprogramming sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And for me, gosh, once I got a handle on that, then I became good at it, or the anxiety would come up. And before even before the thought would come, I know it's coming. I learned how to combat it before it hits there. Right. Being proactive sometimes for me helped me stop doing the self, you know, the doubt, the, you know, the negative talk,
the belittlement, the negative talk. Yeah.
It helped me. Yeah. But learn thyself, love thyself, right? And give yourself grace. Those are the big three things that will help you on that journey.
Oh, you know, I love that word.
Yeah. The grace.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Now, here's the twist for me. That self-doubt didn't make me careful. You know, it made me very critical and very reactive. I became defensive.
Yes.
I chose emotional violence, not because I was a cruel person. You know, I wasn't a cruel person, but because I was trying to protect something fragile inside of me. And sometimes I got so loud and so critical in moments where I should have been listening. Like you were saying, Brian, your best pose, right? Like I could have used that back then. I could have used those tools. Sometimes instead I just shut down when I should have leaned in. And I'm not proud of that, but I want to be honest, because this doubt, it doesn't just affect me, right? It affects my wife. It affects my son. It affects my daughters, my community,
right?
My previous wife. It affects everybody in my life. And, you know, there's an armor that you build up with that mentality. You ever realize that that armor is actually hurting the people you love?
Yep.
You know, and that's what really started to like emotionally drain me, is that not only was I affecting myself that I wanted to fix, but I saw the damage I was causing other people.
Yeah.
And that killed me. That ruined me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not that person. I'm an empath.
Yeah.
You see me crying all the time. You see me emotional all the time. I truly love other people and I want the best. And sometimes that version of me doesn't come out. That critical me comes out. And I hate that about myself. I really do. And I wish my upbringing was different, but it isn't. And so, okay, how can we define that and get better moving forward? And we're going to talk a little bit about that, I'm sure. But
absolutely. No, that's powerful. Perfect.
I was just thinking, trying to maybe come up with what's one tip you could give somebody if they're just feeling paralyzed by fear.
It's a great question, man. That is a great.
I think for me, it has everything to do with control.
Okay.
If you can let go of the control that drives everything, man, you'll free up so much space to welcome all the good in you. I'll tell you what, I've had to do this so much lately. I've tried to control everything in my life, and coming from a previous marriage where I was controlled like crazy, I could tell you it doesn't feel good. And I do it to other people. And when I catch myself doing that and I release that and I allow the space for everything else that's positive to come in, that control disappears. You don't need it. And I promise you, once you realize it, you don't want it, actually. You don't want that control because it'll ruin you. So trying to let go of that control is a big, big thing for me.
Now, that's huge, man. Fear. I've heard it stated two ways, right? One is false evidence appearing real, and the other one is face everything and rise. For me, it was to repurpose that emotion, what I'm feeling, to channel that energy into something that I want, right? You know how people say, do it scared, do it fearful. It was a practice. It took some time. It took patience, right? It took cultivating me wanting to even run after the fear, because to me, that's when you have your best moments in life, right? Think about your adrenaline when it kicks on, a shock, and you jump higher, you run faster, you do something that's like, yo, right? I've done it in sports. I've done it in so many different things in my life, but I always told myself, okay, if something is fearful and I'm afraid of it, I have to repurpose it. And I tell myself these things. I have to use those butterflies, right? And turn it into something powerful, turn it into something great. And I always held on to that. I think it was Tom Brady. He said when he first got behind the lineman and looked at all these guys coming after him, he said he felt fear. But he and how he repurposed it was he had to focus on the play. He had to focus on who was running the play, and right, that helped him get a little bit past that fear. When you repurpose the feeling that we feel, sometimes it allows you to push past the scary moments or the things we're swinging at nighttime, or what's that noise? What's that sound? Right? Or man, I don't know if I can make that. I've never just started a business. I never really did anything that was worth something in my life. I'm afraid of failure, as we all say sometimes, not all of us, but some of us, right? I now channel that emotion, even when I speak in front of people sometimes before I even did this. Well, today we're gonna, I had to focus on something else, repurpose that feeling, repurpose that fear for greatness. And that will allow you to, yeah, you know that it's not that bad, right?
Yeah.
There's no monsters up under the bed, you know. Sky's not falling just yet. When we learn how to repurpose those emotions and use them for greatness. Yeah.
The way I kind of look at it is, and I could really sum it up into one statement. And this is one thing that I've actually told a few other creators on TikTok that I've gotten to know really well. And they were trying to branch out a little more, trying to just, break free of what their normal routine was.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what? Get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
That's great.
And once I started living in that mode, I started progressing. It sounds so simple. It sounds like that, that one line cliche, everybody's got something, but it's like, no, that has worked for me so much. Those butterflies in your stomach, that fear that may be paralyzing you right now. Start it in little chunks. Start with something that's semi-fear, causing you to get fear. Get comfortable with that, and then step up and step up and step up. And it's just it seems to work the best for me, honestly.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, that's good. That's real good.
Yeah, I think doubt for me, I think it wears a lot of masks. I think it disguises itself as so many different things. Control was one of them that I already mentioned, right?
Yeah.
To me, it looked like also one of those masks was trying to predict every outcome. Planning every conversation in my head before I even chose to speak about it.
Yeah.
Because I was afraid to be wrong, right?
Yep.
And if I'm being really honest, some days it looks like anger, quick reactions, snapping before I think. Sometimes I catch myself mid-sentence, and sometimes it's too late. But the cost of that unhealed doubt is so detrimental. It speaks when love should.
Yeah.
And it's so damaging. And it always affects the people closest to us. That's the biggest key. It affects the people that are supposed to be a part of our circle to build us up.
Yep.
When you weaken that foundation, man, I can't tell you how hard that is.
Yeah.
Definitely went through that myself, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Listen, man, we all have the Incredible Hulk button, right? And it can be easily pressed. I mean, just over the smallest things, right? When you look back hindsight, you're like, man, I got mad over that. Yeah, you did. Listen, I ripped out of a suit before, right? My girlfriend at the time, she made me so angry. And she was talking, I really look like Bruce Banner. Like I've come down to my regular form, but I've ripped out of a suit before. And when I saw the terror that was on her face, when I saw the fear, I said, okay, I got a problem. I got to figure some stuff out, right? And I can't go to rage mode anymore. I can't go to Hulk unless it's an emergency or somebody's coming against my family. Listen, somebody messing with my peoples, geese will have a whole different meaning. I'm just saying, just throwing that out there. But that's something I had to work on every day, right? It just wasn't a one-day process. It was something that, it was in my face and I had to beat it. I had to go within myself and I had to challenge myself. That's what it really is. Think about Hulk and Bruce Banner. They're always in a constant struggle. Who's coming out? Who's going to stay here? Who's going to stay dormant? Right? And listen, we going to all have those Incredible Hulk moments and it's okay. Forgive yourself. You're going to have those Bruce Banner moments. It's okay. They need each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's how we deal with it.
Brian, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You ever realize in those situations like that story you just shared about your girlfriend in the suit that you weren't really mad at them, but maybe mad at the version of you that you were trying to hide?
Yes, a lot.
Because I feel that all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. And for me, what I had to do was go and I had to seek help to deal with that version of myself. I had to talk about it, right? I had to talk about it enough to where it became a place of healing.
Oh, I love that.
Not a place of shame. That's where that power comes from. That's when you can start to recognize, because once you do that and you start operating in it, you'll catch yourself. Absolutely.
Oh man, I can't tell you how powerful that is. I hope everybody heard that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Going back to moments like that, when I was younger, I used to be nothing but anger. And I mean nothing but anger.
Yeah.
I don't know where it stemmed from, but thinking about back on it now, it was probably because I didn't like hiding who I really was. You know, because I didn't, again, which we talked about on previous episodes, I never really understood how I functioned until I got older, like the way my brain operates and everything. So it was always anger, always just, I started journaling and writing down whatever came to my mind, just whatever thoughts I could think of. Just, it didn't have to make any sense, wasn't even complete in sentences, just whatever words popped into my head just to get it out of my brain so I could hopefully work through this. And years ago, I went back and reread that book. I don't know how I even functioned as a person at that point, trying to reread those thoughts and the way how I was just so upset at everything. And it got to the point where I finally accepted, you know what, that's the old me. And I took the book and I ditched it. I didn't hold on to it anymore. I'm like, this is that chapter that we're closing. This is another way to physically and mentally move on. So, whoop, there it goes. It's gone now.
Yeah. That's a great strategy, man, on how to deal with things, man. And I believe that, you know, it's not one size fit all, right? Certain trauma, you can have the same experience, but it can really affect people differently, right? It can scar differently, right? So I'd never try to put a one size fit all on any one subject matter, because we don't know how detrimental it can be to a person, man. But one thing that I tell clients that I talk to is never give up. Unearth every stone. Dig up every garden bed until you find it, until you find that person, whether it's, you know, inner child being fearful or something that you're holding on to, because there's a trauma there, there's a trigger there, and we have to unearth it to say, "Ow, that is the problem." Because a lot of times, right, we do affirmations, we say all these great things about ourselves, and we're just putting a band-aid over something that probably needs stitches.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And we gotta get the right help. I need the right type of aid. And I think that's a patch job from some people. And then we blow up and we grow up and we get bigger and we're like, why am I still going through some of these issues? Why am I still struggling here? Why is this still scarring me? Well, we never got the butterfly stitches, and we just put a small little Flintstone band-aid on it, and it never healed properly. Right? Doctors, when they do surgery, I'm gonna cut you here, here, here. Why? It's gonna be painful, but it's to heal you. And if we don't have that type of mindset sometimes for ourselves, man, I would try. Listen, I've ripped off almost car doors, so angry at people, just losing it, man. And I caught myself and I said, okay, B, I got to go deal with this anger. I got to go deal with this rage. Really, that's that. Because at that point, that's what it really turns into. Because I don't mind anger, right? That's what I tell people. Like, no. Anger is a launching pad. Anger protects. Anger will push you to the next stage of your life. It's the rage that we don't have control over that. That's when you can tear down everything in your life. There's a difference, right?
Right.
And we have to understand the difference. We have to understand when we're about to go to that rage moment. And we got to have a protocol in place, almost like Hulk. Betty, oh, right? Come on, big fella, the sun's going down. Sun going down. Sun's going down. So we gotta know. We gotta have some of those things in place, fellas, to, you know, so we won't go to that level, because it's easy for us to do. It is. It's easy. So easy. And I think, you know, just knowing that, having that, realizing that, keep it on the forefront of your mind, knowing that there's a trigger, will kind of keep, okay, let me put some parameters in place. Let me put some reminders in place that'll help me. Because why? It goes back to, do I want it? Well, absolutely, I want it. We'll do the things that's necessary to get it for you, for not nobody else. And once you do it for you, it'll be a benefit for others. Yeah.
Yeah, there's this lie people believe once you become successful or a leader, or maybe even like us, let's say, that are healers or a voice in our community. There's that somehow means that you're past the struggle, that you've somehow won at life. And let me be clear for anybody that's listening, I'm still in it. There may be a leader to some people, but I'm still in this. I'm still fighting every day. And there are days that, I get really short with my wife and I don't know why. There are days that I overthink the things that I've said to my kids in the day, and I have them this week for summer break, and it just happened to me yesterday.
Yeah.
My daughter, one of them, I won't mention who, just in case they listen to this, but she said, "You didn't say hi to me this morning," and she was offended. She was upset, but I didn't find that out till the whole day had passed, right? And so I was upset all day. I was literally sick to my stomach. I was throwing up, and me and my wife had a fight the previous day, and so like things were just spiraling out of control. I'm telling myself all these things: you're not good enough, you're not winning, you're not saying the right things, you're not doing the right things. I overthink all these things that I said. And then there are other mornings I wake up and my first thought is, you know what, you're behind again. And it's easy to spiral, right? Like you guys were saying earlier. But the key in there is the pause. If you can find a way to pause and really reflect on those things. I mean, this is why I've had to build rituals into my life, not to fix the doubt that we're talking about, but to face it, to face it.
Yeah.
For me, that looks like journaling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Journaling about the lie that I'm believing in that moment, then writing the truth underneath that.
Let's go.
Right.
I was going to say that
I got to talk to God in some of those moments. Sometimes it looks like sitting in stillness with my emotions, even if they feel too big. And just really trying to identify, okay, why am I feeling this right now? Okay, what's the why behind this? Is there any truth to it? If there is, okay, let's address it. Okay, what's the fix? Is there a fix? Maybe there isn't. Sometimes it looks like texting one of y'all.
Yeah.
Just to say, hey,
we're here.
Absolutely.
I had to do it on Tuesday when we were supposed to record this podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things weren't good at home, and I just wasn't in the right headspace, and I just needed that moment to be like, okay, hit pause. Okay, it's paused. All right, let's think about things. Are you in the right headspace? Nope. Okay, cool. What are we gonna do from there? Well, I need a pause, a real pause. I need a break. I need to evaluate these things, fix my relationships, show up with love, show up with intention, and then I can move forward.
Lyman, I love that you said that, man. So the pause, right? Oh, it's so powerful, man, what you just said. So there was a young lady who came in, and she comes in a lot. And I was asking a question about resilience, right? Because some people don't really like that word resilience, because she said because of the fights, she's always going through, she's always right, and she needs a break. And I said, hey, you have to create those moments in your life. We weather the storm. I get that, right? And I told her, look, you got to find ways to steal away, to pull away, right? Even God himself, right? If people were watching that, Christian, even he had to pull away from the 12 and go pray and find moments, right? The Garden of Gethsemane, he sweated blood. I didn't want to have to go through what I'm going to have to go through. He didn't want to, right? He had to steal away, and you couldn't pray with me for an hour. Listen, we have to create those moments to reflect. They won't come if you don't create them. They won't knock on your door. Hey, it's reflecting hour. No, you have to physically create those moments and take a pause. Lyman, I love that you said that, bro.
And that also kind of ties back to a pattern that I do every night as well. I kind of do the same exact thing. I reflect on my day, except I set a timer to make sure that this doesn't last very long and I don't mull over things. I'll set a 5-minute timer. I will start my reflection for the day and be like, okay, what all happened? All right. What was good? What was bad? Cool. We're there. What could I have done a little better? All right. And we move on. That way I'm kind of not sitting and mulling it over too much. And I know I've got a time limit on it, so I can just get it out quickly.
Yeah.
And I don't actually journal it down. I don't know. I've got this thing with writing. It's just my thing. I like my technology. I'll type it into a notepad, or I'll use one of my AIs and just record it or whatever, just something to verbally or physically get it out of my head. And that seems to give me those moments every night. And it also helps me sleep better.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
good.
to be fair, sometimes I do that too. When I say journaling, I do rely heavily on my AI and tech sometimes to guide me through thought processes, and
Mm-hmm.
I put all my feelings and emotions into it so it really can guide me in the appropriate way. But
That's
you know,
powerful.
it does look like that for me from time to time. But sometimes I'm a writer, so I have to just put it down on paper. Otherwise, it just doesn't leave. It'll just continue to circulate in my head until I feel like I've fully been able to just hand to pen to paper, written down all the emotions and the feelings, and really identified what's the core cause here, and how do we move forward. Now, I want to talk directly to the audience, if I can, real quick, if it's okay with you two gentlemen.
Go for it.
Absolutely.
I want to say this: if you find yourself in any of these moments that we've been discussing thus far, I want you to feel seen in this moment. You are not alone. You are not broken. You are not the only one who has days where love feels hard. You're not the only one who chooses silence when you really need connection. You've been surviving. You're a warrior. But now it's time to heal and let yourself be messy. It's okay. Let yourself be seen in this moment. Let yourself be real. Because every time you show up, even when you're doubting yourself, you're reclaiming a piece of your identity from that fear that we were talking about before. And you're letting that fear go. It's just a mask. It's not real. It's a facade. It's a roadblock in the way to stop you from getting to where you really want to be. And I just want you to remember that, and I want you to hold true to those things, because that's where real healing starts.
That's deep, man.
Yes.
That's deep. You're right. You're not alone. Yeah, you're not. I love that line. That is so powerful, man, because far too many times people suffer in silence.
Mm-hmm.
They do. And part of that for me was I thought I was alone, right? And you're not. You're not at all, right? I mean, even if you are by yourself, you still got me, myself, and I. But realistically, you're not alone. You're not. I had to seek for it, and I had to want to be better. And for me, man, get you a shovel, dig deep. Dig deep, man.
Right.
Wow. I mean, you said something powerful, man. And to the people, if this is you, listen, reach out, seek, find help. It's there. You got people that will sit with you, love on you, kiss on your face, and then give it back to you when you feel better. You got people that will. I promise you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Promise you.
It's
So,
true.
Lyman, I love that, man. I love what you said there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely powerful. It's definitely powerful. And then just something to add to this as well, too. I was just kind of thinking this over. For anybody that does see this and wants to contribute to what we're doing, go ahead and leave something in the comments, maybe a topic you'd like to hear us chat about, or something that inspires you to just, maybe get up and keep pushing through your days. Eventually we'll probably get to the point where we're going to have live chat. It's not right at the moment yet. That's going to be down the road yet. We're still working on that, but leave what you think we should maybe cover, maybe you should chat about. We'll take everything into consideration. It's not like we don't have a plethora of ideas we can come up with already, but we'd like to hear from everybody that's spending the time and actually being part of the community and watching us. We want to be able to, at least address something that you might want to talk about.
I love that. Yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, me too. I'm down with that. I'm down.
Yeah, there's a lot of things people are struggling with out there, and if there is something that you would like to see us touch on, I would love to dive right into it. I'm sure I can speak for all three of us when I say we've probably been a part of that once or twice, or maybe more times than we care to count in our lives. And so I would love to speak on any of those topics.
Yeah, absolutely. And creating a safe space for people.
Yes.
That's huge. I didn't have that coming up. I don't know about you, gentlemen, but I didn't.
Nope.
I mean, I had dial up, but it took me. It took.
I mean, of course, I had a safe space, but not what I thought I,
Not
knew I needed. Until this was created, so we started doing things like this.
Yeah, my safe space at the time was in my head, and I've learned quick that there's a lot of things running around here, and I can't be in here all the time. Yeah, I can't.
Thanks.
Yeah, can't be here all the time. But yeah, absolutely, man. This is good, gentlemen. This is good. I'm loving this, man. I'm absolutely loving this.
Kemp, unless you got another question, I maybe want to pause for a little bit of a reflection moment, and maybe I can share something. Unless you got another question that we can dive
No,
into.
I think we're pretty good. I mean, obviously there's more if we wanted to go too much, but I mean, we're probably getting close to, if we start another convo, it's going to just go for another 20, 30 minutes knowing us.
We can
So,
talk about things.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
exactly. So go ahead and you can have the mic, and we'll probably wrap it up after that if that sounds good with you guys.
Yeah, for sure. As I was going through this topic, it obviously made me really emotional. That's who I am. I own it. But it paused me for a lot of reflection and self-identification of what this all truly means to me, the why that Brian was talking about earlier, you know. And as I did, I looked back to the younger version of myself, and I don't know if this is the right word, but I don't think that I just felt pity. I felt compassion.
Okay.
Because he was doing the best he could with what he had, the tools that he was given. And though I know that those tools now for me today were misguided and facades in a lot of ways, like my religion and the things that I believed were my safe space, like was mentioned, they weren't the thing that I needed to move forward, to really feel the core of love that I know now is within me somewhere. You know, he thought anger meant strength. He thought protection and perfection would equal love. He thought silence meant safety.
Mm-hmm.
I know better now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to teach him even still today. So I say this to the man who doubts his value, to the woman who doesn't trust her voice, to the person who is just so sick and tired of performing strength and is ready to admit that they're scared. You're still worthy of love, even in the mess, even in the silence, even when you fall short. You don't need to earn your place. You already have it. That's what I got.
That's strong.
Yeah,
That's
I love
deep,
it.
man.
I love it.
All right. On that somber moment, where we'll go ahead and wrap this up for this show, and
Absolutely,
we will
man.
definitely see you guys back again on the next episode of the Soulful Threes Journeys. Everybody who's been watching or will watch or are planning to watch, you all have a blessed rest of your day and quite a while after that.
That's right.
Stay blessed, everybody.
Yep.